Hey college football fans, Chappy here. It's time to walk it off. So we're going to talk a little MACtion, and on our CFP podcast, we're going to be previewing the MAC conference in 2022 coming up very soon. So looking at the DraftKings win totals and projections, I was a little bit surprised to see some of those numbers. So two teams in the MAC, Toledo and Central Michigan, were projected at 7.5 wins, which I think one of those two teams will go over. And then there were four teams, Miami of Ohio, Northern Illinois, Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan, all at 6.5. That was the second highest total. So when you're looking at what to pick this year, just know that at least two teams from the MAC conference have won 8 games or more in each of the last 5 seasons going back to 2017. The only time they didn't have two was back in 2019. CMU went 8-4, and we're talking regular season, by the way. So those who are a little bit new to the betting premises, these win totals are just for regular season. It does not account for conference championship. It does not account for a bowl game. So how do I think the MAC will look this year in terms of those win totals? I see 1, 2, 3 teams winning 8 games or more. And if you've paid attention to previous Walk It Off segments, you might know who that is. But there's some teams I want you to keep in mind as very intriguing. One of them is Bowling Green. Their win total is set at 3.5. I'll say right now, I think that's low. I think Bowling Green could finish as high as second in the MAC East. And if we've learned anything, 5 of the last 6 years, there has been a different MAC East representative. So a lot of parity on that side. Bowling Green was one of those teams. Could they do it again in year 4 of Scott Loeffler? Eastern Michigan, also very intriguing. They're the only team in the MAC that has not made an appearance in the title game in the last 10 years. In the last 6 years. Every other of the 11 MAC teams has been represented in Detroit. So could this be the year for Chris Creighton and the Eagles? He is the dean of the MAC right now in his 9th season. So is this the time to turn up the notch and finally get over the hump of the other teams in the MAC West, namely NIU and Toledo? They've been able to knock off some of their directional school rivals, CMU and Western Michigan. In fact, they've won 3 straight over the Broncos, EMU has. But can they win those other games that they need in the MAC this season? And then Buffalo. Buffalo's win total is set at 5.5. Very intriguing new coach in Mo Lingard. Now, I say relatively new. He came on very late to the scene last year when Lance Leipold took the Kansas job, seemingly just a couple days before fall camp began. And Buffalo did better than I expected that they would last year. They had a lot of key players come in through the transfer portal, and by that I mean guys who contributed at their previous schools, and many of them at Power 5 schools. So we know that Leipold set a good foundation there at UB, and they've had their horns up really for a good part of this last decade. Mo Lingard, I think, exceeded some early expectations last year. He's a defensive-minded coach. I think they're going to have a pretty good defensive squad this year. If they still had quarterback Kyle Van Treese, I would probably have them as a contender in my 1 or 2 spot in the MAC East. But let's see how Matt Myers does, or let's see how their young core of running backs does in this 2022 season. So again, I would go with at least 2 MAC teams to hit that 8-win plus total. So is it going to be Toledo? Is it going to be Northern Illinois? Is it going to be Central Michigan? Is it going to be Western Michigan? Is it going to be Miami of Ohio? Is it going to be Bowling Green? Is it going to be Buffalo? Like we said, a lot of parity in this great conference here in the Midwest, in this great state of Michigan that I live in. We've got those 3 schools. Ohio, where my buddy Mike Waxman is at, they've got another 6. And then, of course, you've got New York State and you've got Indiana. It's a great conference. I can't wait for that midweek MACtion, and I can't wait for college football to start. We are now, I think, at 10 days away from the actual kickoff to the 2022 season. I'm psyched. You better be too. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share, rate, review. Follow me on Twitter at ChappyCFB. I'm Chappy, and this is what I know. And more importantly, this is what I love.